Hey, so I wanted to review the data from yesterday and just figure out if there's any big takeaways or questions or, lessons learned, things like that. I think the biggest lesson learned for me was that it was pretty hard to change in comparison to doing the drills. Like, um, when you're focusing just on one thing, it was easier in my head to change what was going on, like, when I was looking at face strike and I wanted to hit uh, when I wanted to hit the toe, it was easy to hit the toe. When I wanted to hit the heel, it was easy to hit the heel, but my miss was a toe miss, and when I was trying to focus on all these other things, it was harder to hit the heel in those instances, and so I exported the data and, basically gave myself a score if I was within the boundary that, I wanted to be in, and actually, that was one of my big questions is, are these boundaries appropriate? I don't really know, for sure, but I'm gonna let the data basically answer that, like, if I'm doing okay, then maybe I'll keep it. If I'm doing really well, I'll narrow the boundaries. If I'm doing terrible, I'll maybe expand the boundaries or keep them the same. So I think that was the one of the big takeaways for me is that this was actually harder than doing the individual, drills. And in looking at the actual results, um, I didn't have a problem or I didn't think I had a problem with path score, and that kind of came out to be, correct. 93% of the time, I hit the path that I was looking for, and I think my boundary here was 2 degrees, inside out to 2 degrees outside in. Maybe I'll, change that, maybe I won't, I don't know. I had a big problem with hitting the toe, and that certainly was true here. 70% of the time, I did hit the toe, more than, I think I used 15 millimeters. So, yeah, more than 15 millimeters here, more than 50 millimeters here. The average was 5.9 toe, which is fine, but, only 21 out of 30 did I actually hit it within that, 15 millimeters of toe or heel. Um, Vertical impact, I had a problem thinning it, and this was a little better, but yeah, I had a problem thinning it. I think the average was 10.5 low, and every single time, you know, I got this, it was low. There was none that were high. Yeah, it's all low. So thin toe. Um, and, when I was working on the drills with, face impact, face strike, it was easy to do, and actually, I saw the 3D aim point stuff, and that looks really good. That's kind of a way to kill 2 or 3 birds with 1 stone, so I'm gonna start doing that. Every time I was looking on the outside of the ball, it was right in the middle of the outside of the ball. Maybe now, if I want to lower my strike a bit, I would look on the outside of the ball and back a little bit, I think. I have to go through it again. I haven't even started that at all, so, um and then face score, I thought this was better, and when I went through some of the face strike drills, I thought I could, close it and open it a little easier, but again, it seemed harder here. I'm gonna work on face strike today, and, we'll see how that goes, but I think overall, that was my big takeaway. This was harder, and so I'm gonna keep doing this maybe once a week, maybe, twice a week, but I'm gonna keep working on the other drills. Um, you know, I think my big questions are the boundaries I had appropriate. I mentioned that. I think in this case, they're fine. I'm not gonna mess with it unless maybe let me do this 2 or 3 more times, and then I'll start, messing with it. Another big thing was, I'm measuring face score or measuring face and I'm measuring path, but in the course, there's a, more focus on offline, and of course, there's a correlation there, like, every time I miss the face, my face boundary, I think, was 4.5, degrees open or closed, and every time I missed the face, it was offline more than 15 yards, and I think that was the correlation there, or that was the boundary with a 7 iron at least. 5 yards was 1 finger, so if I'm 3 fingers off, that's, 15 yards, so maybe that correlates it looks like it correlates to about 4.5 degrees with the face to target, who knows? So that but in general, that was a bigger question, like, do I focus on the actual result, or do I focus more on because I have, the machine for it, the launch monitor, do I focus more on the actual face to target, um, and the path? Um, Another question I had was sometimes I got everything correct, and most of the time when you get everything correct, it was a good shot, like, no surprise, but there was this one time that I got everything correct, but it was still 18 yards left. The face was open, but only a little bit. It was a perfect vertical strike. It was 4.8 on the toe, which is better than my average. The path was pretty neutral inside out. Inside out, open, no, inside out should kind of should offset each other a little bit. Anyway, I why is this one if this was such a good, strike by the metrics at least, why is it 18 yards offline? I don't know. Uh, so it had a ton of, side spin on it. 781 compared to 325. I don't really know. Actually, it would be interesting to see, uh, how many of these were actually perfect. Perfect is the completely wrong word, but how many where I reached my goal. Well, we could do that, right? We can see how many times this is for, which would be, let's see if this is the range and we do our criteria of um, greater than or equal to 4. Nope, this is wrong. Let's just do equal to 4. 12 times and 12 divided by 30, 40%. So 40% of the time, it was a I don't wanna say perfect shot. I hit the goal 40% of the time. So that could be something to track too, as we go. Um, I'm narrowing the targets over time, but how does that 40% move as we go? So, I think that's my big takeaway. I like doing this, it was fun, but generally, I've been doing the drills, and then I'll do, like, the target practice thing where I'm changing clubs all the time, which is good. And I can't forget about putting and chipping and stuff like that, but I think this is good to do, periodically to check in to see how those drills focuses on individual aspects are actually improving the overall skill of getting the ball to go where I want it to go and you know how many times I can actually hit all the goals I'm trying to hit while adding goals, as we go. So anyway, I just wanted to review that. I don't know if I'll do more recordings. Maybe I'll record the face, this kind of face open close drills that I'll be doing today. We'll see. I don't know. But hopefully this was helpful to somebody. It's certainly helpful to me to sit down and review, um, you know, but hopefully it's helpful to somebody else as well. All right.